He is no more and never was?
He is no more and never was, I said back. The second put his hand on my shoulder, and I could feel it trembling a little. The grief was fresh, and he was the second. After all, I was the sixth, and we had lost the fourth. You should return to Samu. Take some charge of yourself. Pick up some flowers along the way.
What's that?
I don't know why I said that. I meant whatever herbs are in season. One never likes when I come home empty-handed.
Home? Is that what you've always called it and I've never noticed?
No, never. I'm just tired. I met a strange young man and my speech has been jumbled.
Perhaps it is you that should go home, as you say. My work is not done in this place.
Entirely up to you. I regretted noticing his tremors, but it was unavoidable. We were always to keep each other honest, on task, take care of each other in the way that only we knew how. It was quiet up on this promontory. The branches had grown thicker since I was here last, and the overlook almost seemed to blend into the forest. The garden was also full. I almost jumped for joy at the cook had been able to accomplish, which he was glad for. He needed some tending. Unlike his garden, which he'd spent most of his time on, it was obsessively tidy. It seemed like he'd pickled everything but barely used much of it. He joined me at dusk, and I nearly fell to my knees when I saw him smoking a pipe. "Two!" I yelped. Of all the things I did not think I'd see.
Yes, well, it's forbidden, yes, and I was the one to harp on it the most, I know. You would have thought, you all, that I made the rule, but there you have it.
It's all right. I won't join you, but I have had smoke. He smiled and nodded, uncomfortable that he was smoking in front of me clearly. But we would be spending time together, so I suppose you wanted to get it over with. I've had drink, too.
I'm not your confessor.
We are all each other's confessors, Dukes. You're seeming different than I last remember you. I won't be opaque with you, my brother. He exhaled a thick cloud of smoke.
Yes, well, I've seen some things. This land has always had its mysteries, but I'm uncertain is all about some of what I've seen, or heard, rather. Down there, you see that gap? There's a clearing. There was a fire there, only for a moment. And then it was gone before I could get to it. I thought little of it. I would scan for any who had ventured this far up the mountain. Then, a few nights, middle of the night, full moon, just past full, some music, very faint, unmistakably unearthly-like a cross between a harp and a flute. It made me feel paralyzed. Got these tremors ever since. I know you saw them. No cause to my sword arm. It's only there when I'm still. I've had my archery practice as well, mostly fine.
So you went down and...
No. Closer I went, the less I heard the music. Then, when I was in the clearing, nothing. Some flattened grass in a rounded shape. Came back the next day and still nothing. The burn was quick and quickly quenched, like it had been done by many and all at once. Then the music was gone.
This was...
Fortnight back? No. 3 week.
Are you having trouble keeping time?
Yes. I'd almost forgot. That's the other curious thing. When I made my way to the clearing in the morning to see, after leaving it, I climbed up the mountain and it was almost dusk. Like I'd lost the entire day in the matter of a moment. The next time I came down, well, nothing like it. I checked the placement of the sun and it was no different. Made me think I'd blacked out the day before.
And nothing since?
Nothing since but these tremors and dreams.
Dreams. I wish it had been 3. You know me, I wouldn't be able to make up a dream if I could.
Must be nice.
It was dark now, and I could only see his face when the embers of his pipe swelled like a tiny blooded moon. What was the color of the moon?
The moon? Last? Then? Oh. Do you deal in those superstitions?
I may not. I just know Unix would want to know.
Yes, well, a slight blue like a flame around its contours. I knew someone would ask. Clear night, very little wind.
Like now.
Yes, more or less, colder.
So you would have heard if there were many that approached.
Easily. I haven't lost that. I could hear Agatha before I could smell your stench.
I bathed in private as was my custom, though I'd always been teased by the others since I was a boy. I had made my peace with it.
Do you want a wife, then?
One had said to me when I was of age, spotting me in my indecence. It was an old joke and expression, but as we were celibate or supposed to, it filled me with shame. I shaved in the dark with cold water. I had that talent. I took my time, but I knew well enough not to cut myself. I used it as a time to meditate, to center myself around my power, to remind myself of the steps. I saw death. I gave it a face. I leaned to it, as if it would give me more than I could ever dream. I forgot myself. I made my sign with my sword. This was done with or without a sword. I named my brothers and sisters and counted them down. For them. And then I was calm.
Do not forget to bring her springtime flowers.
The sister's sister. But who was the sister and who the sister? One was the sister, and I laughed to myself.
That's how magic works.
Said four, not long ago, though now with him gone, it felt painfully distant.
That there is only suggestion. That's all I know. With suggestion, a gap is made, somewhere in the other place, as thin as a hair, unseeable to the eye. That's what I think, anyway. Perhaps I am wrong, and it is above us, as some say, or below. But I'm sure it is neither and both, and all around. Now, a suggestion can be spice. A suggestion can be a song. Now, if we were to call of it sorcery, it would be a painful life, without song, without a well-made meal, without the bards. But that is the secret that the sorcerers carry. They hide among them, not in plain sight, with their long beards and their staffs with rubies in them, but most are good. After all, that is what we rely on, and so we must not foment fear in the people. This is not to leave your ears. I should not have spoken it, not without all among us.
Agatha was as happy as could be reunited with Fleekenleek. They were siblings after all, though she was a motley brown and black and white coat and he a pure black. They hung close as I prepared our meal, waiting for the eventual carrot. Agatha liked onions, though I would regret feeding her too many. After we'd finished our meal, Two gave a heavy sigh.
You think you'll be going soon?
Why? The superstition, you mean?
Yes. I wouldn't rush you, but I must trust these anxious feelings.
You saw Seven then. What did he see?
Nothing new. Got into a few scrapes. The feeling there was different. That's what he said.
Different how?
More hopeful somehow, perhaps, oddly. But on the Outer Lord's side, he said everyone he saw, their eyes glazed over, and you know how well he's able to seduce, how quickly he can get someone to talk. And he said he was largely unable. Their words were as written, he said. They all seemed to parrot each other. That's what he said.
And the numbers?
Mostly retreated since the last unfortunate defeat. Hard to tell, but everyone he asked who wasn't grieving felt a time of peace was imminent. Though they couldn't say why, aside from the few lords on this side of the border who seemed to be putting more effort into their lands.
So we wait.
Yes, that is what we're good at primarily.
Two said with a kind of bitter resignation unusual for him. But you think we shouldn't?
I don't know what I think. Not anymore. Not since I heard that music. I can't see. I grant it as something of sinister origin. Though I can't say for sure it isn't.
A soft rain fell as we took to our beds. Two smoked his pipe for a brief moment on the deck beforehand, somehow keeping it alight. As usual, I did not dream, But before I drifted off, the boy's words came to me again. As I closed my eyes, I could picture something. Something from a story one had told me when I was but a child.
The dragon's breath could char the soil ever so gently with such precision that only the tips of the grasses were left blackened. That is how the sorcerer knew that it was safe to approach.
I tried to remember to recount this to Tu the next morning, but I'd forgotten the words exactly, and then felt embarrassed in doing so. I found Tu on the deck smoking his pipe. He barely turned as I came into his view. So I'll go, then, tomorrow, but not because you told me to, and I won't return towards Samu. I'll go past the borderlands just a little.
Will you now? And what of the sea?
We'll find another soon. The 8th will appear. I'll go to the sea then.
Soon, you say? Do you think it's wise? 7 already went, and what with...
I know, I won't try anything foolish, and I won't... I forgot to mention, on my way here out of a small village there was a watch, perhaps. No trained arms, they barred my way.
Lord's men?
Perhaps, but they looked quite ready to do more than collect a fee. If there had been more of them, they might have been able.
So you're telling me this to assure me how?
I hadn't thought much of it, but now I'm thinking I might like to see for myself, however briefly.
Suit yourself. I smoke a pipe at last, and the 7 begins to disintegrate.
Come now. Watch the smoking. An archer needs his breath. I'll return on my way back, perhaps by the next moon. Perhaps we'll hear that music together. I almost felt Agatha's sorrow beneath me like a trembling vibration as we rode down the mountain. Tu rode down halfway with us. I made a slight detour to see the burnt patch. I forgot if he mentioned how perfectly roundly shaped it was. I remembered then the story one had told me as a lad, and almost was going to ride up the mountain to tell it to him, but again felt foolish at doing so. I hated second goodbyes. 4 died defending rather a many innocent.
The most honorable way to die.
One said it in the most mournful, hollow way. Trailing off, I could hear her grief. 4 was the first that she instructed closely from a young age. Both her and Tu would have felt the loss in a way that I could not imagine. I myself was hobbled, but accompanying a few families traveling the coast gave my grief a shape. Like the wind and the rain and the waves shaped the hard rock along the sea, giving it to the ocean, first as boulders, then as rocks, then as stones, and then as sand. Still, I suspected from something he told me not long before that 4 died defending someone he loved. We would not speak of it. We would not speak of they who never existed, and so their faults never were either. Still, I was ever curious to meet them. Not only she, but the place, the people, the way of life. That which called to us all. And yet we had to leave behind again and again. Back on the common road, I found Agatha hesitating as I made my way towards the fork in the road that led to the borderlands. To the left was further down the mountain towards the river. Perhaps she wanted to rest there some more, although that didn't feel right. Something in her was balking. Come now, I whispered in her ear as I had since she was young. We're not afraid of fire. We are dragons, aren't we? And so we rode on.